Talking to myself. I think you can hear me now. Um, hey, Danny and I are going to do a little playthrough of the race scenario in the Tabletop Simulator mod, and give you guys a chance to follow along, ask questions, and learn how to play. Just waiting a little bit before we begin. I'll start by just doing a tutorial overview, and I'm going to actually pull up YouTube here just so I can get a sense if anybody's watching.
Yep, I had it up. Looks like you got 8 watching.
Cool. Okay, I'm just gonna slide that over here. I mean, not that it matters. People will watch the replay anyway. It just feels strange talking to myself.
You definitely have Greg and Gilberto.
I tend to talk to myself anyway. Oh wait, yeah, here we go. I actually have the chat.
Yep. Hey, Greg, Gilberto, Chris.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's appreciated. And can I type back in here? Oh no, I think I can't. I'm using OBS and I'm pretty new to it, so I'm gonna have to keep the YouTube window open if I want to chat. Actually, I don't need to chat. I'm talking. What am I doing? Use your brain, Ryan. Eventually, someone figured it out. Of course, it was me last, and boy, do I look old today. My apologies. I guess Kickstarter really does age you. Not that I'm not old. I had my 48th birthday 2 days ago. But I usually don't look quite this old. Probably lack of sleep, dehydration, all of that. Anyway, I'm going to switch off my face here and show you guys the game. And yeah, I mean, I'll let Danny get the thing set up. I'm just going to be right back. I'm going to grab some water.
Hey, Renee. Hey, Morris from Italy. Man. Ed time. Alright, so...
Can you guys hear Danny? That's one thing I'm afraid of. I think Discord audio is turned off. Okay, can you guys hear Danny now? Go ahead.
How's it going, guys?
Welcome, Renee, Morris, Greg. Danny is muffled, it says. Can you turn your mic up a little bit?
I can try here.
You sound fine to me, but I don't know how this process works, so. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice about the Tabletop Simulator mod as it stands right now is we have to ignore this text. It's just dummy text that I had in there to kind of illustrate how these scenarios will be laid out in the book. So like the spiral binding is basically right where you see the pink hand in the final product, and this side will have the setup rules and a little mini map showing where to put tokens, and then the other side flips open. And there are some scenarios that use this left hand side of the board for additional gameplay space, like tunneling over to another area for say a drop zone or whatever. And this area here that shows, token spaces, that actually won't be on the board for most scenarios, or probably any. But for this example, we put it there just because it's a little cleaner on Tabletop Simulator.
All right, we're ready to get it set up for a race.
All right, give her.
All right.
So we have to obviously thank Danny for this amazing mod. The version that is shared on the Kickstarter page actually is going to have to be fixed. Danny found a little problem with it, but it only has the one scenario at this point. Mostly it just saves explaining how it all works, but once I have a chance, probably in the next handful of days, to update put the actual text on each of these, there's no reason why we can't have the other scenarios in here. Anyway, so for the sake of this game, we're just going to pick 2 players from the control panel here and choose our heroes. You can go first, Danny.
Oh man, I was gonna say, are you gonna hit me with Pinky's sliding tokens again? Let's go with Ung.
I'm gonna have to go with Pinky because I just love Pinky.
Yep, you are. Oh man, his tokens are brutal.
Yeah, Pinky is super fun in second edition. I almost and to think I almost just nixed Pinky because he was supposed to be a first campaign exclusive, but it just didn't make sense because I had to create an upgrade pack that supported everybody from first edition. That meant creating a player board and all of the stuff for Pinky. And what's the point of doing that if he's not actually in second edition? It would just not make sense. So Pinky's back and better than ever. Go ahead, Danny. You were talking.
Oh man, it just dawned on me. I had to. I want to keep the comments up so I can see the comments.
Yeah.
But because I can see the stream, I can see your hand. So I had to cover the actual feed and just let me see the chat window.
That's funny. This is all new to me as well, and yeah, obviously Danny did an amazing job of this.
Oh, I appreciate it
with this mod. Like, wait till you see. So we don't have actual miniatures in here yet, but we have these reference cubes. The actual final reference cubes will all be the same color, like the hero cubes. Like the base plastic part of it will be the same color. I think it would be nice if we could make them different colors, but the stickers or whatever, the screen prints will be, obviously the correct art for each one. But we'll see. I mean, it just, I think would be significantly more expensive to do multiple colors of the plastic. But I'll find out, and if we can do them as colors, it's even better. Anyway, but yeah, it's set up with keyboard shortcuts for doing all the tumbling, and it even tells you at the top there what skill is now on top and what movement you have. So if you look on the player boards here, you can see it highlights the skill that's currently active, and it knows the movement range in the top left-hand corner of the tile for the hero. So it really is a really good way to play the game.
It's come a long way, that's for sure. It was pretty rough. We have these control panels. This was the original way to control the minis, and they do still function, but oh boy, it has come a long way from clicking to tumble.
Yeah, it's a lot easier with the keyboard for sure. It's almost as fast as playing in the actual game. So what I wanted to do actually before we actually start, I'm assuming there's still people watching, is just cover how the game works. Or first we'll just cover the changes to the player board in case you're not familiar. So one of the things that I did as a quality of life thing is just to add these labels to the player board that say, face, right arm, left arm. And also you'll see here on the bottom of the player board we have labeled what the default position of these tiles can be. Of course, in Quodd Heroes you can place your tiles, except the Q power tile, anywhere you like, but it just saves a lot of time for new players especially if you just place the tiles in the spots that match there at the start of the game. And oftentimes you'll never even change them. One of the things that will still change is these tile designs will be finalized and improved before we go live, and they'll be labeled in some way to indicate which hero they belong to. and make it more clear which side is the upgrade side. This sort of temporary art here showing the gold arrow is the upgraded side of the skill. So when you upgrade in Quodd Heroes 2nd Edition, there isn't an upgrade track down below like there used to be. You just choose one of your skill tiles or your Q power tile and you flip it over. At the start of the game, all players' default skill tiles have the same values on them, but the reverse sides are unique to each hero, and the numbers basically balance out between heroes. But they're just not all in the same place, basically. So some heroes have bigger jump, some have bigger tumble, some have crazy diagonal slides, that kind of thing. The other new thing is Q power and secrets. So when you activate your Q, you'll see this symbol on here, and that matches the symbol on this deck over here. I'm just going to pick up the whole deck. This is a secret deck. So in the previous edition of Quodd Heroes, you would see in the scenario book that there were you'd have to place a bunch of secret tiles out, but they had to be specific ones. You'd shuffle them and then place them in the spots indicated on the board. All of these tiles now they just have a question mark on them. So you don't flip them over. You just basically pick up a card from the secret deck and you read it out loud, or actually you just read it to yourself, and then if it's something that needs to be played immediately, you do so. Actually, it always has to be played immediately, but occasionally a secret will have something you put in your hand. So that one says immediately replay the last event card played. Generally, the secrets apply only to you, but that design choice makes setup way faster. It's just one small thing that improves setups significantly, and it allows us to do lots of really interesting things we couldn't do before just with tokens. And it also eliminates the need to describe like dozens of different tokens in the rulebook, which is problematic. Yeah, so when you activate your Q power, you get to draw a card from the secret deck, and obviously when you step on a secret token, it's removed from the board and you draw a secret card. Also, when you activate your Q, the first time you do it, you choose your hero power, which is here. There are two sides to it, and you place it on your board and then you immediately activate it. So Pinky's, one of his Sugar Rush power says place 2 candy tokens on the board, range 5. When a candy token is stepped on, -2. So his custom tokens are here, and there's 2 different sides to this. And the other side lets him place sticky trap tokens on the board, and when you step on those, it ends a player's movement for the turn. So it's basically either an offensive or defensive token that can be placed on the board. And then crystal powers are also new, and I mean, I think all of these changes, the Q powers and the crystal powers, allow us to make each character unique and thematic in a way that wasn't as clear in first edition. So the crystal powers work as you might imagine. You grab a crystal and you place it on your board, and then while you're carrying that crystal, you have that new power. So this says add +1 to slide and diagonal slide. So these 2 skills here now have +1 movement, and different skills, different for yellow and blue as well. And each hero's set of skills and Q powers are different, making them play uniquely. So we have unique upgrades on the main skills, except for the Q. The Q power is the same for all heroes. It increases the draw, and then you get to draw 2 secrets and keep 1 essentially. Otherwise, what's new? I don't know if maybe not all of you have actually played Quodd Heroes, but I'm just covering what's new, and then we'll explain how the game works. But at the start of the game, each player is dealt or draws 3 pet cards and 3 item cards, and you get to keep 1 of each type. And you'll see at the bottom of these cards that there are numbers. The total value between the item and the pet you choose, has to be no more than 5. So it will limit your choices somewhat, but it means that you can't have 2 really powerful things. Hopefully you can get 2, just not two really epically powerful ones at the start of the game. Of course, later on you can still get a new item or a new pet, but items and pets now have their own card backs, and they're not part of the exploration deck, so you can't have them in your hand. If you get a new item or pet, you have to discard your old one unless you have a means to have more than one pet. Like, for example, I have here Pet Minder, which lets me have more than one pet. So the first step you do at the start of every game is just decide which of the items and pets that you have that you want to keep, and then you can start playing. Did you have something to add, Danny? I don't know if I've missed anything.
No, I think you've got it for changes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So one other default change that it's not obvious just based on looking at things is in the previous version of Quodd Heroes in first edition, you had to reach a certain upgrade level or choose an upgrade level. I believe it was at like level 3 basically, where you can choose to let your hero change directions with its movement skills.
Oh.
So a tumble could go, multiple directions. I'll use a mini here. So most skills by default in first edition just moved in a straight line. If it's a diagonal slide, it's going to keep moving diagonally. It cannot change to a different diagonal direction. With this version, we've decided that there's no real reason for that, and now all of the skills can change direction. The only one that cannot is jump. So jump is always linear in a straight line. The other thing we've done to make it clearer how jump functions is that the jump distance of 2 on a tile actually is 2 spaces, although whereas previously a jump of 2 was over 2 spaces and landing on a third. We just wanted to make sure that we're consistent with the distance numbering on a card, which now means that previously you could not jump just 1 space in front of you, but now you can with the new rules. I mean, you could do it only if you were sort of locked in. You had to jump over something, but taking out restrictions that are apparently meaningless was part of the changes that we wanted to make with the rules. Yeah, I think that's about it. So after we will choose, I guess we can just start. I think I have food sitting at my front door.
Yeah, where was this guy at? I think it was over here somewhere, but I don't
zoom out here so we can all see. Oh, the crystal. Yeah, I think it was just on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, maybe.
Here, yeah. Yeah. Do we still have an audience? I'm not actually have a way to look at viewers.
We have 9 watching.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to just pause for 1 second here and be right back. Danny, you can entertain them if I miss something. Although you can't control the view, so I guess I just have to...
Yeah, I can't really control the view.
I'll be right back.
I will explain something real quick. Just Greg asked about the default key bindings, and Gobroto did answer it. But I know you can't really see it on Ryan's screen unless he zoomed back out. But on the right side of the screen, I do have a little quick note that just says go into options and game keys, and you can map your hotkeys. And when you go in there, I've got them labeled as north, south, east, and west pressed. And that just corresponds to the compass on the board. So north on the board is going to be north in the key bindings. There's also counterclockwise and clockwise for rotating your mini as well. But and it is once you set it the first time, you won't ever have to set it again. Next time you load up the mod, you'll be good to go.
And it works with whichever hero you happen to choose, which is amazing. Yep. Apologize. I'm going to be kind of eating, and I'll be doing it discreetly, but I haven't eaten since breakfast, so figured I should do it. All right. So What else do we need to know before we can actually begin? I guess we'll just cover turn structure and stuff as we play. We might as well just do that. So I'll start by choosing my items and pets. Let's see what I got here. So discard 2 cards to draw a secret card. It's pretty good. Tunneling does not end your movement. That sounds useful. Jasper's really good. It lets you ignore walls. Oh yeah, so one other major change is, so in first edition I tried to use icons wherever possible to make it language independent. I've decided, a poor choice because it's fine when you've played the game a lot, but this lets us be more specific about how a card works, and I think it's just more clear and a better choice. So you will notice that there's some inconsistency in font sizes and stuff on these. These are not final cards. There might even be typos here and there, but obviously that'll all be fixed before going to print. What am I going to choose? So discard a food card to find a rune card, or discard a rune card. Reveal cards on top of the explore deck. I'm going to go with Pet Minder as my item card, because it lets me have 2 pets. Doesn't mean I can choose 2 of these, but it does mean that I'm going to go with Rock Imp because he's fun. It doesn't do much for me at the start of the game, unfortunately.
Oh, but that is a good one to have.
Yeah, if we have tunnels, but oftentimes in a 2-player game, the tunnels probably don't come into play, but whatever.
You'll be happy to know I chose Little Bird.
I changed my mind. I'm going to go with Snuffer. He'll be more practical.
You know me and dice, so Little Bird and Magic 6 Ball. It's
Yeah, Danny has the worst luck for die rolling in the world, I think.
yeah.
So yeah,
Y'all don't understand. You're gonna get to see.
You discard the other cards that you don't use, and they'll get shuffled back into this deck, to the decks, and we're ready to begin. So, want to do a high roll for playing first?
Sure. Okay, I'll take a 3. I'll take it. It's not a 1.
Awesome. Enjoy your tacos. I've got a spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's here because I'm too busy to cook. But I would rather have tacos. Did I roll yet? No, I didn't.
Nope.
Hey,
Holy
you're
moly.
winning the roll race. So, in Quodd Heroes, one thing is that at the start of the game, you figure out who's going to go first, and then you have the start positions here on the board. The player who gets to go first gets to place their hero on the board last, and sort of in reverse order, basically. We don't have rounds anymore in second edition. We just go around and around. The first player does not pass. And then I get to choose where I want to put my hero. I kind of want that pink crystal. But then again, this secret's pretty good too. Yeah, I'm going to just start and try to get this secret. I have to point my character forward on the board at the start of the game, so eyes facing inward, and queue up at the start of the game. So now Danny gets to go. And he probably is going to steal that secret from me. I don't know if he is, but I would be bummed if he did, because that would mean I could have picked a much more optimal place. So the other thing is, now in Quodd Heroes 2nd Edition, and one of the biggest advantages of not going with modular boards is that we can do stuff like this. You'll see on this middle section of the board and the little diagonal lines, this is completely off limits. You cannot pass through it. It's impossible to cross over. And this is a race scenario, which I didn't explain what we're doing here yet. We're trying to get from where we are here to this spot right here. How do you point?
Tab.
Tab? Yeah. So the first player to get there wins the game. If you're playing more than one player, you can decide whether you want to figure out who finishes second, third, and fourth, whatever. But we're just going to race to the end and see who wins, since it's 2 players. And yeah, so I'm stuck in a spot here where we have walls here that are breakable and jump overable, and then this center column here that we can't pass through. And also, I wanted to make sure, because one of the big pet peeves I had from first edition was I got constantly asked whether players could be pushed off of game boards. And I couldn't understand why. One of the things I didn't realize that when you write a rule book that you have to explicitly not only tell people what they can do, but what they cannot do. And so this was my answer to that, never having to answer the question of what you can't do by putting sort of the off-limits markers around the entire perimeter of the board so that people don't think they can push other players off the board. Yeah.
All right.
So we can start.
Yep, and I don't know if you mentioned it. It's not really a change from first, but just maybe a reminder. This does set up the tiles in this configuration as a kind of a recommended starting configuration, but you can absolutely change these before you take your first turn.
First turn, yeah.
Yep. I am perfectly fine, I think, with it the way it is. So. All right, here we go. We'll do a tumble, and that's going to give me a tumble.
I need to be the camera operator here.
Oh.
So you can start your turn over because no one saw it. So we should probably explain the turn structure.
Okay.
We have a little quick reference chart here. So for those who haven't played the game, this is just a reference in TTS that tells you how you move through your turn. So at the start of the game, we have basically a card playing phase, but on the first turn of the game, most players will not have cards. That could change based on the fact that at the end of Danny's turn, he's going to read an event card, which may end up letting me draw cards. But generally speaking, on your first turn, you're not going to have any cards. So you basically skip past step 1, except for the fact that you could, if you need to or want to, activate your item or pet card. In my case, I do get to do something. At the start of my turn, it says draw a card at the start of your turn. Normally you draw at the end of your turn. So that's pretty sweet, actually, and I forgot about that bonus part of that card. Anyway, so drawing cards, and then you start your movement phase, which is where Danny's at now, and I'll let him continue.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad I get a redo. I will go ahead and activate that magic 6-ball, I think.
So Danny has magic 6-ball as a card, which has these abilities. You roll a d6, and something happens.
Here we go.
That's a
4. +2 to move.
So yeah, now he gets to choose one of his movement skills that he's going to activate this turn, and it gets +2 for the turn.
Yep. All right. I don't know that it's really going to help me. But we'll add it to the jump. So here we go. We'll tumble, and that gives me a tumble.
Uh-oh.
Tumble.
I'm being a bad camera person. So he tumbled forward.
I did my natural tumble to here.
So movement always begins with a natural tumble. So you always have to change the face of your hero to an available direction, and then activate the skill that's on top after you tumble. So in this case, can we just... No, we can't. I was going to say, can we move the player boards closer so that it's easier to see? But yeah, so now the skill that's up now is the tumble skill, and it has a movement of 1.
Yep.
So he gets
and
to tumble
so
again.
I'll tumble. And that lands me on my feet, which has a jump of 2, but my magic 6-ball added 2 to that.
So he gets to move 4 spaces here and jump over that wall.
Yep, right over the wall. And, you know, I was going to just land short, but I think I will go the full. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It would appear that I'm in significant trouble right away. But
If,
hopefully I can
if only
illustrate.
that were true.
Hopefully I can illustrate the fact that in Quodd Heroes you're almost never out of the race.
Boy.
And that's
Oh,
one
man.
of my favorite aspects of this game is that even though that's a pretty huge move for a first turn, basically if you're clever, nothing is insurmountable.
Yep.
And a
Yep.
little bit
Absolutely.
lucky, I guess. Although this isn't a hugely luck-based game, someone might disagree with you, especially with event cards, but yeah, you can create all
But
kinds of your own luck.
yeah, people are gonna find out real quick. Those event cards are not nearly the
They're not as
game
punishing
changing
as they used to
luck.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I have no cards to power down with, so we're on to
So
the
yeah,
event phase.
now you draw an event card, read
Oh,
it
look
out
at that.
loud. Actually, I can just hover over it, right? Hit Alt.
Yep, you sure can.
Any hero carrying a crystal may explore.
Well, that's neither one of us.
None of us have crystals at this point, so basically nothing happens except I didn't explain the event deck yet. So the events are different. We don't have an end of round phase anymore for events to happen and upgrades. But some event cards, I think roughly 1/3 of them, have what the bottom here, which says triggers. That the visual description of that will change. Excuse me, in the final production. But basically, that means anything that can move moves, and all players get to upgrade a skill. So, including me. Excuse me. So I'll upgrade one of my skill tiles, and Danny will do the same. I'm going to upgrade Tumble. Because that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna upgrade my face.
so Danny upgraded Dash.
Dash.
They're
Yep.
not labeled here, but that is the Dash skill. But they will be labeled in the final design.
And then I will draw one card.
So at the end of your turn is the exploration phase or the explore phase, and you draw cards equal to the number in the bottom right corner of the skill that is facing up on your hero at the end of your turn during your exploration phase. So that's his feat, and so he draws one card from the explore
And
deck.
there we go.
And now it's my turn. So I look at what I've got here, and my pet minder thing says I get to draw a card at the start of my turn, so that's pretty sweet. And what did I draw? Now Danny gets to see my hand. That's not fair, but...
No. I have it covered. I'm not cheating, I promise.
It says, this turn you may place tokens you play under heroes, including yourself. That's actually really good because it says heroes. It means not just myself. Normally you cannot place tokens under anybody, including yourself. But obviously I have no way to place tokens, so this card's just going to stay in my hand for now. Now Danny knows what my plan's going to be later.
I was going to say, I do have it covered, but if you're just going to read it out to me.
Well, I'm trying to explain the game. Not everybody here has probably played the game before. So, I'm going to start my movement phase. So, wait, what does this say? Discard 2 cards to draw a secret. I only have 1, so it's not useful. So, I'm going to pick up my guy, tumble forward, and now I have my tumble skill face up, which is here, and I can tumble twice, and I can change direction. So I'm going to start by tumbling onto this secret. And reading a secret card. I'm just going to flip it over.
Yeah, real quick comment on that. In the actual game, you would want to draw that to your hand. Well, I guess you do show it, huh? Even if it's an item.
Yeah, I guess you do, just because you have to prove what it was, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
yep, scratch that then.
I got a card that just eliminates Danny's lead, potentially, because I have to roll a d6. I might roll poorly. Which I don't have the best luck anyway, but it says roll a d6 and teleport that many spaces. I stumbled upon a spatial rift, apparently. And then if I roll a Q, do something. So
Come on, shiny
I don't remember how
one.
this works, so there we go.
There you go.
So I only got a 2. The unfortunate... I actually still get to activate my skill because it's not using a teleporter.
Yep.
So my bag faces up, but I still have 1 more movement on my tumble. So I tumbled only once. I can keep tumbling, but I don't really have an option for that. So I'm going to use slide of 2 here. 1, 2. Actually, I'm going to go 1, 2 because that lets me then activate my jump next turn to get over the wall. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we move on to the phase 3, which is playing cards. I don't really have cards I can play. This shouldn't be on my board. I guess I could have activated my Q. That actually would have been smart. Can I change my mind?
Go for it.
Just for the sake of fun. So instead of tumbling that way, or
Sliding.
yeah, instead of sliding, I go back to here.
Here.
I was here. I teleported 2.
Oh yes, the teleport too.
And
That's
then
right.
my-
Yep. And
my
you have
arm, my
monkey.
arm was up, right?
Yep, that's right.
Sorry. This is one aspect of Tabletop Simulator that is less than ideal for the sake of this, is that if you mess up your hero, you have to remember what orientation it was in.
And rotate clockwise.
Yeah, so, and then I would end up here with my second tumble and activate my Q instead of sliding. Now I get to choose a Q power. I'm going to flip this over and choose Sugar Rush and add 2 tokens to the board, range 5. So you just count from your hero orthogonally. And when you step on these, you get to dash 2 spaces. So I'm going to put them somewhere that lets me go farther. How about here?
Yep, and so
1,
as
2.
a reminder, even for counting, for placing tokens, you can't go through this
The center wall.
this
thing.
central
You
kind of
can
wall.
count. You can count past regular walls. You don't have to go around them. But these are basically, for the sake of everything in the game, you can't count around them, move through them, jump over them, blow them up. Nothing. So that was 1, 2, and then this would be 1, 2. Okay, that's where I want them. And then I get to draw a secret card because it's my Q. 2 secrets in 1 turn. That's awesome. Startled. A loud bang. Immediately jump 2 and then continue your movement if you are moving. There goes my advantage. I guess I'll go here. And then this gets discarded. The event card goes there. And then I don't have any cards to play, so I draw an event card. Another upgrade. Foretelling. Flip the top card of the event deck face up and place it back on top of the event deck. So basically it just lets us know what the next event card is. And lets us anticipate. And then we have a trigger, which lets us upgrade again. So this is unusual to get 2 upgrades early on, but because they're shuffled and random, that can happen. And I can decide what skill I want by looking at this and deciding if... I'm going to upgrade my face tile, which is dash. So next turn I get a big move. And then I'm done my turn. And it's Danny's turn.
All right. Yep, I upgraded my diagonal slide. Hoping for some more card draw. When the time comes. All right, here we go.
What about your Magic 6-ball, Danny?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's see. 1 die. Oh, that's teleport, right?
That's a very
Teleport?
lucky roll. He gets to move 5 spaces. Maybe I will lose.
I will teleport 4 of that 5. And land on this crystal right here. go.
So Danny's crystal power says he can ignore walls, so it's going to be fun trying to catch him.
All right. That.
Did you explore at the end of your turn? Because I know I forgot. I'm going to draw 2 cards. There we go. So at the end of my turn, I was supposed to explore, which is draw cards equal to what was on top. That's my key, so...
You were supposed to. I did. I did get my 1 card.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'm going to tumble forward. That's going to land me on my face, which has a dash of 3. And now, because I can go through walls... Ooh, do I?
You still have a chasm to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, so I'll go 1, 2, and we'll stop there. And we'll see if maybe I can roll back onto my feet and get a jump over to the secret. So, all right. I do not need to play my card, so we'll do this face-up event over here. Which is all players may discard a card to slide 1 space. I will not do that.
I'm going to look at my hand and decide. Oops.
For things like this, I don't think you've mentioned this, but for events like this, where it could affect other players, you just go in turn order from the player who triggered the event.
Yeah, so Danny triggered the event card, so he would go first.
Yep, and I'm declining. I'm not gonna discard one.
Yeah, I'm not going to either. I'll keep my cards.
Okay, and then for dash, I draw 2. And I am 5 or less. I'm good to go. Dang.
Okay. So he's got a sizable lead on me here, but I get to start my turn by drawing a card. So I'll draw a card.
So good.
Look at what I just drew. Boogie Beans. Immediately activate your face-up skill. If that skill is tumble, do not trigger a new skill after tumbling. Wow, I get to activate Q again. This is going to be epic. So I'm going to use it, because my face-up skill is my Q power. So I'm going to draw a secret first, because it lets me do that. And it says, you get that feeling that someone is watching you. You're on high alert. Until the start of your next turn, you may not be stolen from, and you are rooted. So what that means is that nobody can push my hero. Normally, as you move, you can push other heroes, but this means I can't be pushed. And if they try to steal a crystal from me, for example, they can't. But I have no crystals, so... Anyway, that is done. And now I will activate my Q power, since I get to do that. And I'm going to place 2 more candy tokens. So I only have... I think there's 5 here, but there will be 6 of each custom hero token in the final production version of the game. And I'll place it, at range 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I'll put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Yep. And look at my hand. I'm going to use my Slick Silver Vapor card, which says I can place tokens under myself or other heroes, and I'm going to use this Super Kinetic rune that says place a spring token, Super Spring token, but I can now place it under myself, so I take a spring, flip it over, and that's a spring of 2, which means jumping 3 spaces. I need to change the number on that. And so I immediately get to go 1, 2, 3, and land on this. And now, because I landed on the candy thing, I get to dash twice. So I'm going to dash to here, grab this pink crystal, and that adds to my slider diagonal slide. So I'm doing all of this, and I haven't activated my movement skills yet. So that's a pretty special and unusual set of circumstances, but one of the things that's fun about Quodd Heroes, it's special, unusual circumstances happen on a regular basis. So now I'm going to start my movement. I don't want to play my other cards yet. So I'm going to tumble forward. And now I have my backup, which is my tumble skill. I can tumble twice. And as you move on the board, you always have to activate board tiles you land on before continuing with whatever else you're doing. So I'm going to tumble onto this space. Now I get to dash twice. What the hell? I'm going to go get that secret. I should be chasing him, but instead I'm going after a treasure. So I draw a card from the secret deck. Friendly tech, you've bumped into a friend from town. He offers you a few... So I get to reveal the top 3 cards of the item deck and choose one if I want it. Doesn't mean I get to have 2 items. You're still limited to just one. But I can replace what I have with what's here.
Man,
I'm kind of liking my pet minder.
I was gonna say, you're gonna give it that sweet card draw?
Yeah, no, I really like the card draw, but these are all really good cards. This one lets me place a teleporter every turn within 5 of my hero. This one lets me place a spring within 5. And this one is a new type of item. It's basically disposable. You play it, you draw 3 cards, and then it does nothing after that. But you could then replace it with another one later. But this is a particularly fun one to get at the start of the game if you have a really powerful, say a 5-point pet card. Then you get this one essentially for free, but you get to start your game by drawing 3 cards. So that's fun. I'm not going to take any of these. I'm just going to put them in the discard pile and keep with my current strategy. So now I get to activate the skill because I stepped on this, or this rather, as part of my first tumble. So I'm only going to tumble the once, and I'll just activate this skill that's face up, which is my slide skill, and this says I thought I had something that made my slide better. Oh yeah, my crystal power. So I have +1 to slide or diagonal slide, so now my slide is 2 spaces. I guess I'll go onto this. That's a whirlpool. I have to rotate. I guess I'll go this way instead. And it's 1 and then 2 onto this. That pushes me onto this, and now I get to dash twice. 1, 2. Convoluted way to get there, but I moved 1 more space than I would have otherwise. Alright, so now it's my second move or card phase, power down. I have no cards I want to play, and we do an event. So I draw this card, flip it, and read it. Wow, another trigger. All players may dash 1 space. I'm going to say sure, why not?
Yeah, you are. I'm going to say, nah.
Oh yeah. Danny's going to choose not to. And then we discard this. And I'll end my turn and draw 2 cards based on the number on this tile.
Make sure you do your upgrade.
Oh yeah, we didn't. We were supposed to upgrade based on the event. I guess I'll upgrade my jump. So Pinky has a unique jump. This didn't exist in first edition. Instead of increasing the distance of his jump, now he gets to jump twice, which lets him basically spring twice, and each time is 2 spaces. Okay, that's it. I'll draw my 2 cards. Your turn.
All right. Here we go. Let's do that 6-ball. Teleport.
Will the walls barriers be actual models for the deluxe version? No, the walls will be barriers if you buy the walls add-on. So the way walls work in this version is the ones printed on the map, you just treat them as objects, like blockable. You can jump over them, you can break them. So there are wall tokens here that can be placed by players to block people or whatever, but also if you break a wall, you just place that there and it shows that the wall is gone. So the deluxe edition, I mean, you have the option to buy the 3D walls add-on, which then you would place the walls on the board at the start of the game to blingify it, but they're not necessary. Sorry, Danny, go ahead.
No problem. So I rolled a 5, which gets me teleport 5 again. Oh man!
Wow, so much for your horrible luck.
I know, right? Part of me wants to get the secret, but man, 5 free move is a thing. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can get to there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Hmm. Let's go the fun route. We'll get the secret. So I'll teleport to the secret. All right. So
What'd you
this
get?
secret is an item. It goes to my hand.
Where is the card?
Yeah, put it in the center
Oh,
here.
I see. It's there. So yeah, he gets a card that goes to his hand. Pretty good one.
All right, and let's see. You know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and I haven't entered my movement. That was before I moved. I just did the magic
using
6
his
ball.
cube 6 ball.
So I'm gonna go ahead and play that guy.
I think the
And
magic
dash.
6 ball has never been so good for anyone ever before.
It's certainly not for me. Oh man. Okay, so dash 3, so I can go through walls because of my crystal. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and
Whoops.
oh come on! I pressed the wrong key. I pressed my old keybind key. There we go. There we go. So the whirlpool rotated me, and do
Base is up,
I
which is
play?
attack.
I don't think so.
Oh wait, you still haven't even activated your movement yet.
I still haven't done a natural tumble yet. Yep.
This game is going to be over very quickly.
All right, I'm gonna natural tumble down, and that's gonna be my jump, which is 5 for only one card draw, but 5 for his jump. 1, 2,
Oh
3.
my gosh.
Then we'll go 1, 2, 3. Do I stop here?
Well, if you go one more space, you'll just have to go back to that space anyway.
Well, I can get to here.
No, you started. Oh yeah, you're right. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah, but then if I go here, it push. Yeah, I think I stop here. I don't think it matters. I think as soon as but I could tumble to that secret. No, I will stop here. I'll tumble to the secret next turn. 1, 2, 3.
I don't know. You're making it really hard on me here.
Nope. I changed my mind again. I am gonna stop there. And at the end of my so now that my movement's over for the power down phase, I'm gonna play Portal Rune and teleport range 3. And go 1, 2, 3. And that's gonna be it.
You're really going to push my ability to catch up to you this time.
Don't let Ryan fool you. There have been cases exactly like this, and he charged forward and won. So
I am the most experienced Quodd Heroes player in the world. However,
here's a fun one.
Gives a card to the player on their left.
Yep. So I have to give first. I will give you that guy.
I'm going to give you this one.
Okay. Oh, man. All right, and then I get to draw one card, and that's going to be my turn.
Okay, so I start my turn by drawing because of my item card. And I don't think I'm drawing anything to help me here. So Lodestone is interesting. It says discard your current item card and then draw the top 2 cards from the item deck. Pick one to keep and discard the other. The problem is that's risky. I may not get something that's better than what I have. And I kind of want to get a second pet in play. And the rest of these things are kind of not helpful at the moment. But I do have a discard 2 cards to draw a secret card. So I'm actually going to discard this and draw a secret card. And hopefully it's a miracle. It's not bad, actually. It's a really good card. Thank Jesus and all of the gods.
Oh
This is going to be helpful
man,
to me.
well,
So
that double
a super
teleporter.
teleporter
Woo.
rolls 2d6. Do we have super teleporters on the back of these? Yes, we do. Okay, so I'm just going to play that right away, even though I can't get to it without moving. So that will end my turn. Hopefully I roll well. I'll end my movement, rather. Or I put this at the end of... Yeah, that's the smart thing to do. So figure out how far I can go with my normal movement, and then place it at the end. So this actually upgrades my jump for the turn. It says +3 to jump, and if I tumble to the right, I get my jump skill, which is normally 2 jumps of 2. So that would be 1, 2, and land me there, but I can increase that with this +3. So it will get me far enough that it has to be a straight line. So I guess I put the teleporter here. This says range 8. I take a teleporter token, flip it, and place it there. And then play this to increase my jump. Put these in the discard pile. And then I start my movement. So I tumble here. And then I activate my jump, boink. And I land on the teleporter. I roll d6 twice. Which I can add another die, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. Oh yeah, it's on the right here, yeah, plus. So roll 2 dice and then press this, and then magically I get a 7. So I get to move 7 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So not bad. I got most of the way caught up with him. And that's it for me. I'll end my turn, draw 1 card. Oh no, first event.
Nope.
Sorry, I keep
Yep.
forgetting.
There you go.
Flip event card, read it, roll the directional die. All players slide 1 in the resulting direction. So this is one example of where we don't have a choice, which is unusual in this edition. But so we roll this die, and whatever comes up north, we look at the compass here. So we all have to move 1 space north. Danny just collected a secret. All the luck is with him today.
Really is.
Hopefully it's like
North.
one of the bad secrets. There aren't very many, but... Ha! It is! You stepped on a hidden switch and find yourself trapped. Place a wall token next to your hero in each cardinal direction possible. So in that case, it's only 1, but now he's basically trapped.
No.
And when that happens, you have to move to the nearest... like, if it happens and you have no way to deal with it, before your movement phase, you can... Or at the start of your turn, basically, you can teleport to... you can respawn at the nearest respawn point, which are these little guys here. So...
But fortunately, I've got my pink crystal.
That's true. He gets to ignore walls, so that really does nothing to hinder him. And it's now your turn. Oh, I get to draw a card. Sorry.
A draw. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I draw, and now it's Danny's turn.
All right, let's magic 6 ball it up. Teleport.
Mislabeled how, David?
Oh man, let's see. Well, this is interesting. Do I want the yellow or do I want to teleport 5 out and get close to the blue?
So I'm just going to answer a question here. So Greg asked, do you only get pushed on an aerospace? Yeah, so the aerospaces force you to go 1 space in the direction shown. The whirlpools rotate you 90 degrees in the direction of your choice. So you just sort of spin your hero. And then other tokens like these special candy tokens for Pinky don't push you anywhere. It's like stepping on a boost in Mario Kart. You get to move 2 spaces in any direction. Springs also you have to move, but yeah, the only thing that pushes you on the board really is the water current arrows. but there are other things that move you, and other heroes can also move you. So if you're moving in a direction and there's a hero in front of you, you can push them. You push them in the direction that you move. Oh yeah, it does not include the box. I'll have to change that graphic. Is it the pledge level itself, or is it the graphic that's wrong? That's a real bummer because I can't actually edit the text of a pledge level once people have chosen it. But we're treating the graphic as gospel, and hopefully people don't try to get something from me that was not intended. That's what happens when you're really tired. The campaign has been... yeah, and once a pledge level has backers, you can't alter it in any way. But I will post an update indicating that I noticed that, and hopefully people understand that that's not the intention of that pledge level. Okay, go ahead, Danny, sorry.
No worries. So yeah, I rolled a Q.
Again?
Yeah.
What?
We tell these people that I have terrible die rolls, and then here...
He consistently rolls teleport at the start of every turn.
Oh man, I promise.
Weird.
So yeah, my dilemma was, do I just do 2 of it, get the yellow crystal, or keep chugging along? I think I'm gonna keep chugging along.
What's your yellow power? When you activate your Q, you may rearrange your skill tiles. Yeah, probably not worth slowing down for.
4 and 5. So that was the teleport from the 6. Let's see what it's gonna be. My right arm. If I tumble forward, what is my right arm? Diagonal. That's not good.
So the blue crystal powers for all the heroes are pretty epic in most cases, because blue crystals are rare. Yeah.
Yeah, so draw a card and slide
tend to
one.
Fight over those blue crystals.
All right, so I'm gonna tumble. Oh, come on.
You did it again.
I did it again. I can fix that though.
I have my number keys keybound now, so I can't make that mistake.
There we go. Oh,
yes, you would get the +3 to both of your jumps with Pinky. But because it's linear, and I ran into a wall in that choice, I chose not to. I mean, not chose to. I could not continue moving. But yeah, it does make Pinky's jump extra awesome.
All right, so I really should have done that, but that's okay. So that was my tumble, which is onto my back with another single tumble.
That's okay. I'm about 10 minutes behind reading the comments, so I keep forgetting we're doing this as a stream.
All right, and then that gives me
a diagonal slide
of 3. So we'll diagonal slide and get that crystal. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Oh, it lagged there pretty hard. 1, 2, 3. And that'll give me that crystal.
So
now,
the rule is you can only carry 2 collectibles, like crystals or sheep, at a time. So he's not beyond that limit. But the blue powers tend to activate at the start of your turn. So the turn you collected, it's not going to do a lot for you. But this means at the start of his turn, he gets to draw a card and slide 1 space, which doesn't sound as powerful as it actually is.
Yeah, unless you are able to do something to monkey with me, it's going to be a secret, right?
I'm doomed. Well, If I get
Oh
lucky with
man!
my
All right,
rolls,
all right. I have no cards I need to play, so let's do an event. So that's a
an event, trigger sheep twice. So basically nothing happens here. There's no sheep on the board.
yep. But we do get our
And we
upgrade.
get to upgrade. I don't want to activate my queue. Diagonal slide is that. I'm going to upgrade my diagonal slide. You never know. But I need a miracle. I keep saying
It's
that.
coming, right?
I get so close to you, and then you run away because your luck is so incredible with that stupid
It's-
Magic 6 ball.
It is bonkers.
What wasn't a wall? Greg. So Chris asks, can you not jump over the wall on the second jump though? Yeah. So this right here is a barrier, so it's not a wall. It can't be passed at all. So I was basically stuck there. Although technically speaking, Pinky's jump is special. I could have changed directions technically. I could have used the
On the
+3
second-
on my first jump to go over here, and place the teleporter farther away. But I don't know if that was to my advantage. Like, so I could have gone boing to here and boing to here and put the teleporter there instead and then roll from there. But I don't know if that's really to my advantage. But yeah,
it wouldn't have
it
been.
was
It would have been
another option. Sorry, go ahead, Danny. I didn't hear you.
No, I was saying that it really wasn't a difference. It would have
not as
taken you the
significant enough
same.
for me to matter or me
Yeah.
to.
But I'm done.
Okay, and that
Oh,
was.
sorry, I do get one card draw, 2 card draw. Now I'm done.
You're getting damage?
All right, I guess I start by drawing a card. Let it be a good one. It's not bad, but it's probably not good enough. What's my yellow power? When you activate your Q, return a card you played this turn to your hand. There's probably a way I could make use of that, but my face is dash. So I have a dilemma here. I could discard 2 of these cards to get a secret using my Snuffler here, and hope that the secret is really epic and does something awesome. And that tends to be how I play this game, because you're often rewarded for being daring and taking risk. But I have a feeling that Danny's luck is just so strong that I'm doomed. But let's see what happens. I'm going to get rid of this card and this card. No. Because this is going to let me get over this wall, potentially. So I kind of don't want to get rid of the spring. But this boosts all my skills if I roll well. Pretty good chance of doing that. Like 5 out of 6 chance I'm going to get a positive result. But it's not enough to really get me where I need to go. So let's just do it. Let's find out what the future holds for us. And draw a secret.
Oh man.
Oh, I didn't mean to draw it to my hand. Let's put it down here. Cornucopia, you have discovered a hidden stash of food. Well, this probably does it for me. Oh god, I love this game. You discovered a hidden stash of food. Draw 3 food cards revealed from the exploration deck until you have 3 food cards shuffled, then discard. Okay, so we're just going to draw from the top here and flip them over. There's 1 food card. Not a food. That's a food. And there's another. I get to rearrange my movement skills, add 2, and I can't be stolen from. That one's kind of useless. Alright. So the other thing I should point out, because it may not be obvious, is that you can only use your item and pet cards, your sort of activatable item and pet cards once per turn. So I can't just discard 2 of these cards to get another secret. We're done getting secrets for this turn. But I think I'm going to rearrange my skills. So I'm going to play Thinkberry Juice and take a look at my hero. I'm going to put Tumble on my face. So I'm putting that there. And I will get to... Oh, wait, is that going to help me? Because I'm going to be tumbling repeatedly onto an arrow, which is just going to push me backwards. Whatever, I say we just go with it. Yeah. And then on my feet, I'll leave the jump. So I'm just going to put the dash where that was, just swapping those 2. So that card's used up. These should be in my hand. Now I'm going to play the kinetic rune. So this is where sometimes turns can get a little long. When it becomes critical like this, I'm going to do a little bit of thinking here in terms of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try to activate my jump ability. I can place this spring here to stop me from sort of continually tumbling in one direction. So I will go forward here, and then I can tumble. What's my tumble skill? Twice. Or I could use this card to make my tumble bigger, +2, so it could be a tumble of 4, but I really want to use that on my jump, so I'm going to go spring onto the wall here, which gets me onto the wall, which now I can move along the top of it, so you can land on walls. And then I still have... let's just do it. I'm not even going to think it out. I'm just going to figure. I'm just going to play. So I'm going to go +2, and I'm going to target my jump skill. So that's +4. So I get 2 jumps of 4. And I'm going to place this spring token on top of this water thing. So the rules for placing tokens is tokens can be placed anywhere on the board except covering scenario tokens. So I can't cover things like that you're placed on the board at the start of the game, like secrets. I can't place them on top of spawn points. And I can't place them into pits, but I can cover walls with them, so you can use it to sort of break a wall, essentially, to remove a wall as an obstacle. And I can place them in water, even though it may not make sense. It just makes the game more fun, so that's the way it works. So I'm going to start my movement by tumbling here. Now I have my tumble skill, which is a tumble of 2. I just realized I did it wrong, but that's okay. Tumble 1. Did I tumble there? Danny? No, I did not. Right, so I was here.
Yes.
Tumbled forward onto here. Right? And now I have to tumble again, which is going to activate my Q. Which is not what I want. But I have to spring first. Then I activate my skill, so my face is up. That still says tumble. I can tumble.
No, you need to. Yeah, you need to go to your tumble.
Oh, you're right. So wait, I started here.
Yep.
Tumbled to here. Now I activate my tumble, which gets me my Q.
Yep.
That's not what I want. I messed up. Oh well, that's fine. Boing. Springs me to there. I needed my jump. Oh wait, but I still have one more tumble.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, which gets me to my back. Right? Yes. Okay. So I don't actually have to choose to use the skill there. So I tumble to there after my jump, and now I get to jump 4 twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. right? Yep, and then again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the beauty of this is I get to steal his blue crystal so that he doesn't get to activate it at the start of his turn. But he's probably still going to win here. But he doesn't get to draw an extra card at the start of his turn. He doesn't get to dash 1 onto this secret without moving. So I did a surprisingly good job of catching up with him, but I still might lose.
Yeah.
So that's the end of my movement phase. I will play Blockolet, so I can't be stolen from until the start of my next turn. So that's convenient. So my blue crystal is safe. My blue power is what? At the start of your turn, my dash 2, so that's pretty sweet. I don't have any cards to play. Let's do an event card. All players may slide east or west. So that's...
Wait. All players may slide. Oh, ugh.
I'm going to
may?
choose not to. Yeah, it's a may, so we can choose not
Yep,
to.
I think I'm going to choose not to as well.
And that didn't have a trigger on it. And then I draw 1 card at the end of my turn. Go ahead.
All right. Let's see. What is that going to be? My face? 3? Okay. Okay, we're going to get creative here. Here we go. I'm going to play the Earth Rune. We're going to put a wall right in that pit right there.
So the only token that can be placed into a pit is a wall. When it's in there, it's still an obstacle, but you can land on top of it. And then if you break the wall, are you doing something to break it? Oh, he's just showing.
It's just showing.
Then it just becomes you've basically just filled in the hole and you can walk over top of it. It's not actually used that often, but it's a fun little potential bridge builder.
It's gonna be the difference in me making it this round and not. That's for sure. So
it
has a use.
Ignore walls. I keep forgetting that.
I get to ignore walls, and I'm gonna add 2 to my face, which is normally 3, so it's a 5. And then I'm gonna tumble, and then move 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that's game. So that's actually one of the rare cases where the first player just was always in the lead.
You know, I don't know how many games we've played at this point, but I don't know that I had ever seen first player win. This is
Yeah, me either. I mean, it's generally pretty random just because of because of the nature of the game. So for somebody to lead from the beginning to the end is unusual, but really helped in large part by your Magic 6-ball.
There's no question. That was the star of the game right there.
For the first time ever.
Yep. Oh man.
So anyway, that's the Great Race scenario, and sort of an introduction to basically the simplest game type in Quodd Heroes. Happy to answer any questions or anything you might have. I apologize that I've been eating this whole time. Do we have viewers? I don't know if I'm talking to myself or not.
Yeah, you got 8 watching now.
Okay. I'm going to see what I would have done on my turn, just for the hell of it.
I don't blame you. Greg, yeah, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5. I believe it's 5 modes that are working
scenarios in here. Yeah.
Yeah, on the Tabletop Simulator mod.
The only one that's active in the one that's shared is this race for the time being. Mostly because the other ones, what do we have? Sheep Soccer.
We've got, pick up and deliver.
Flag, the Crystal race, like the pick up and deliver.
The rally.
Oh yeah, there's a rally which is on the same board as this. We made a little rally race where you have to go from point to point to point, basically, rather than just in a straight line on this same map. Um, but yeah, those are the 5 scenarios that are on here for now. Eventually, we'll release a tabletop simulator mod, hopefully, and I'm obviously saying this, committing Danny to work, but I think the plan is to try to make an inexpensive commercial mod because this has been quite a bit of work for Danny, just in terms of development. Because I mean, Tabletop Simulator was never meant to do what we're doing here, really, with Quodd Heroes, and it's an achievement, really. And with all of the development that went into some of the other boards, can we show them the one with the rotating platform?
Here, let me refresh this guy. There you go. Go for it.
So yeah, this is what we have. I mean, basically all of the Tabletop Simulator mod was not necessarily created as something we immediately intended to share, but Danny just kind of wanted to see if he could make it work, and I wanted a platform for testing so that I could play test scenarios and stuff with people. So I'm not always playing by myself, basically, while in development. But anyway, so I'm going to choose the pick up and deliver scenario because it has a rotating platform, which tends to drag a little bit. I think this one needs a bit of optimization, but
yeah,
it's only during the initial setup. It's not actually too bad while you're playing, but and the artwork here is not finished, but the scenario is pretty good. And you can also see on this one that we have another secondary area here on the left, and you access that by going down these stairs, and it leads to this section over here. So this is like a couple of the different scenarios that are in first edition, which are basically players just run around collecting different things. And the first one to collect all, a yellow crystal, a pink crystal, a blue crystal, and a sheep. So we have 2 different sheep spawn points, and they're placed on the board randomly and pointing in a direction. And then we have 4 crystals. So you have to collect, or 3 crystals. You have to collect each of the 3 things. The first person to do that and drop them off at the drop-off zones, which are actually hidden right now, you'll see, wins the game. And the drop zones are hidden underneath this rotating platform. So for me, one of my favorite parts about Quodd Heroes First Edition was rotating boards. And it was a big obstacle for me to be convinced that it was a good idea to go the route of fold-out maps. Really, the only reason why I was hesitant is because I love rotating boards in Quodd Heroes. It's so much fun. It's how I hooked people when I was explaining the game in the early days and showing people, like, look, the boards can rotate and it changes basically everything. And that was always kind of really cool to people, and I love it myself. But the other changes the other benefits of using this system outweigh the sort of board rotation aspect. But I still wanted to have that as a possibility, and so that's where this comes in. Thanks for tuning in, Matthew. But anyway, yeah. So collect and then drop off on this spot. So as you're carrying, you step on this, and then you can drop off and mark what you've collected using the tracker here. So the actual final scenario will have trackers on this part of the board, so that you can track who's collected what.
I pulled that out to point out that in our scenario we didn't have things to rotate, we didn't have sheep, we didn't have all that, but during an upgrade, the event card will tell us to rotate a board. It'll tell us to move sheep.
Yeah.
Bombs, if bombs are on the board. So
yeah.
this would be a
great... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Danny. I was going to say, so yeah, whenever there's a trigger, everything that can trigger triggers, which is upgrades and then things that move, essentially. In this case, this would rotate 90 degrees in the direction of choice of the player who drew the event card. So if somebody's about to drop off their spoils, it would be fun to just cover it up. So like a dynamic changing board is something that I I really like, and I think it's sort of an interesting aspect of the game. And you can also make the board rotate by stepping on this center space here. Where's my hero? So I'll take Mitsu and just whatever, yeah. So if you step on this, you also get to rotate the center platform. Yeah, so this is one other type of scenario that includes a new element. So you'll notice that the Quodd Heroes what's in the box doesn't actually show the moving platforms. They are actually included, but I've only got one piece of it shown now. So they'll be in the box, like one full-size punch board with a few different pieces, with the biggest being this one, or something very similar to it. So yeah, there will be moving elements on some of the scenarios in second edition. But yeah, I just thought of something else. Oh yeah, so I wanted to show another difference between Quodd Heroes first edition and second edition. And one of the interesting things that is on a few of the characters, I think Ember and Forest have tokens that aren't used on the board in the same way, so they're not shaped like square things. So one of Ember's Q power abilities is Gift of Fire, and it says give one Fireheart token to up to 2 different heroes in range 3, including yourself, and which permanently add 1 to a movement skill. So you basically take this and go blink, and now your diagonal slide is permanently 3, or whatever, whichever tile you place it on is basically upgraded permanently. So you can use it on yourself or help teammates in team games, that kind of thing. So that kind of buff didn't exist in first edition.
Just Forrest, if you want to kind of show his thing to you.
No, Greg, sorry. What I was trying to illustrate is in first edition we had fully modular 9x9 boards, and all of those boards could rotate. There are cards that say basically rotate something. Do we not have the paw tokens? Oh yeah, we just had them on the back of this. It won't actually be exactly the same as that, but it actually might, because he has another token, so there's no reason not to do it that way. So yeah, Forest's ability basically lets you have multiple pets because he's a whatever. So his Q power lets you, oh, let's flip it over.
A treat, yeah.
Yeah, Animal Lover. Give another hero up to range 4 an animal token. That player draws a pet card and puts it into play, and they can have an additional pet. So potentially somebody could have 3 or 4 pets. Hopefully, if you're Forest, you give them to yourself, and you're suddenly walking around with a whole bag of really fun tricks. So yeah, that's just another example of kind of the more thematic nature of the heroes. So simplified upgrade system, fun, interesting crystal powers that add a new dynamic of sort of fighting over the crystals to the game, and it makes crystals, which were intended in the sort of theme, the story of Quodd Heroes, the lore, to be things that alter characters and alter the world around them because they're so sort of powerful in some way. So each hero reacts to the crystals in different ways, and finally found a way to sort of make it work with a theme. I had this idea before, what ended up being Quodd Heroes first edition, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work, and I really like how both the Q and crystal powers have made each hero unique and fun in their own ways. And Mitsu here also has her own tokens. She can basically make ice, and they basically act like a typical water space, except they force you to move in the direction of the arrow. I guess it's like a water current, but it's just ice. So you step on it and you slide. So putting a bunch of these in a row leading up to, say, a pit is a fun way to mess with your opponents. And on the other side is a water token, which basically she can use as a teleporter, or wait, where is it? Flip it. place up to 2 water tokens, range 7. Move up to 2 heroes, range 3 to those tokens. And I think... Yeah, at the start of your turn, you may place 3 water token, range 1, and move to it. Let's activate your queue. You step on a whirlpool, you may teleport 3. Yeah. It basically is just a way to move yourself or other heroes to water. Interesting. I don't know if that text is the way it should be or not. I don't know. I think not. I think the text on that Q power is actually supposed to be different. But anyway, we had all the new art of elements on 2nd edition to the creator tool. Being to play with it a bit. Yeah, eventually I will. Most of what you have, what's in that tool is obviously from 1st edition, and not that many people used it. I still have very high hopes. Once this game is in the hands of more people with a retail edition, hopefully that happens, then we'll have a much bigger pool of people, so more people creating content. And yeah, for sure, sharing graphics will happen. The thing with the 2nd edition boards is that I'm approaching the artwork for these in a different way. Like, I'm basically hand painting all of them, whereas before it was all done with the tile editor, and then afterward I painted or had another artist sort of modify them so they don't look like they're created with tiles. But yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm delighted to hear somebody eager to test. So we should, to create stuff. So we should definitely talk, because I'll be happy to share stuff with you. Did you have something else to add, Danny? I probably interrupted you at some point 10 minutes ago.
No, not at all. Nope, I just drug out Forest there so you can.
Do we want to show Sheep Soccer?
Sure, yeah.
Show them that scenario. So Sheep Soccer existed in Quodd Heroes 1st edition. In my opinion, it was kind of problematic. The written text in the rulebook had a couple of omissions that somehow made it to print. So it wasn't actually as it should have been. Is this the updated version? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I don't think we've played it since we've made these changes.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the other thing is some of these scenarios, which is why we're not sending our files to print until the end of this year, if we successfully fund. If we don't, I'm gonna relaunch and hopefully still get the game in print by the end of the year. I mean, one way or another, that's going to happen. But anyway, some of the scenarios still need additional testing and development. This is an updated version of the one that I had originally designed, and we play tested and found out that it could be better. And I'm pretty sure this is significantly better. So most likely what's here is going to stick. And what's interesting about it is that they sort of game scales up. It gets faster and faster as you play, and that didn't happen before. So the sheep, as a goal is scored, you're moving this tracker, although this will be designed slightly differently in the final, so we're not covering up the numbers, or we'll just have a hole in the center of this tracker token. And basically, every time the sheep move, they're going to get faster and faster. And every time a goal is scored, new sheep spawn. So it's going to get nuts. So one of the problems with the game before is that when there's only one sheep on the board or two, sometimes you just end up fighting over it and nobody scores, and it can kind of deadlock. So this will kind of eliminate that as a problem, and some of the other rules here will as well. But those instructions will be written here. Set it up, these are basically prizes, except it works in reverse. When a team scores, the other team moves up this track. No?
No. You move up the track, the other team gets the crystal.
Oh yeah, the other team gets the reward. Yeah, so basically what it is, it's kind of to stop. Yeah, don't play to 5. Yeah, Davin is someone who play tested with us when we did the last version of this, and we played to 5, and it took a while. But yeah, you can set what your goal is. And it can be 2, it can be 3, whatever. But this will accelerate the game anyway. I think
Yeah,
getting to
I don't know,
5 will be
Davin.
much
I think we
faster.
should try it again to 5 with the changes.
Yeah,
that have
I
happened.
think playing to 5 with the changes actually will not be very long. Just because everything starts to accelerate, and also we had these reward tracks for the team that scored got the bonuses, so it did the one thing that I never wanted Quodd Heroes to do, which is create a runaway leader problem, and this way one team scores but the other team gets the reward. So the whole team will get, or one of the players in the team will get pink crystal or whatever. But yeah, so this, which is a fan favorite from first edition, I was surprised at how many players, when I did a survey a couple years back to find out how many, on average, how many different scenarios did people play in first edition and which were their favorites. And Sheep Soccer came out on top in a lot of cases, just because it's kind of silly and fun. But this time around, it's more fun and more silly.
Oh, and it's not only that, but during our last play of it, the one that Davin's talking about, when that was over, we sat down and started brainstorming other sheep-based scenarios. I think we like bowling or in pool, or I forget what.
Oh
all
yeah,
of them
and
were.
we also
we started kind of.
We changed the rules for this too. That before you had to push the sheep, now you get to pick them up. As you move, if you step on the sheep, you carry it, and then when you finish your movement, you drop it on an adjacent space.
You must drop it. That's right.
Yeah,
yep.
You must drop it. You don't get to carry it. It just makes it a little easier, and more like rugby than soccer, or American football than soccer, but with multiple sheep, and the sheep move on their own and sometimes don't cooperate. Yeah, exactly. Sheep ice hockey. So Greg asks if it's on the Kickstarter page, how many scenario maps do you expect to have in the core book? So the core book will have eight maps, which is 8 scenarios essentially, but it's actually more than 8 scenarios. So what I wanted to do with this version of the game, originally it was supposed to be 5, because that number is the reason it's 5 is that was a discussion that I had with Rustin, who helped with sort of pushing me towards some of the changes for second edition. And his logic was, you want people to play through all of the scenarios. Whoever buys it, they should try them all. And the problem with first edition is that in the book there were something like 30 different scenarios, which included the tutorial scenarios and the solo campaign, which was I think 10 scenarios in the campaign. But still, it's a lot of scenarios, and many players would just look at that and get intimidated, or they'll play one that's like, there were a few that were really long in that one. Like there was a great race that was 4 tiles, and there were some that were like co-op or one versus all, that you have to sort of trap another player, which is really interesting and fun. But it's going to be a complex game for new players to play, and it'll take a while. So we wanted the games to be faster, more fun, sort of better developed, in terms of just making sure that everything is play tested thoroughly and is maximum fun, and each is different than all of the others. So there'll be 8 scenarios in the rulebook. There will not be one versus all. I'm pretty confident in that. There's no Overlord deck this time around, although you can still use Overlord rules, or use the Overlord deck from a previous game. But what will happen with those 8 scenarios is that each of those fold-out maps will have a printed scenario description, but they can be used in multiple ways. And that's the fun thing about Quodd Heroes in general, is that, for example, the map that we looked at the start, the one that we played through, is, I guess I could look at the camera, can be used in lots of ways. I mean, Danny and I have played 2 or 3, maybe 4 different types of games on that map before we added more to Tabletop Simulator. So we've done rallies, basically just
Yep.
rallies and races on this one.
Yep. That's an example of two different
Yeah, two
games
different
on the
games
same one.
on the same map, and so my intention is to have alternate setups, either at the back of the scenario book or just published on the Quodd Heroes website, and there'll be like a link or maybe a code on the like a QR code on the scenario book page that you can click on, and it'll just give you, if you'd like to use the same map for something else, here are 2 or 3 alternate setups, which will have also been tested. So, and also, as Danny said in comments, I think the other day, you know, he's seen where he or I just decide to, let's just try something new, throw some tokens on the board, and make the rule up for the scenario and see how it goes. And the general rule is it usually works. Sometimes it might be too long. Like we did a rally on this one that had 4 points or 5,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. There
where
were,
we crossed forward and back. And part of the design of this board for me was having these choke points. Like here, there's only one way through here unless you jump over this wall or break it, but it gets narrow in spots. The problem is when one player is coming back and you're going forward and people are placing obstacles, say in a 3 or 4 player game, it can get pretty bogged down and slow. So yeah, like that's what we encountered when we tried to make this race too long, is that it just made it too long. It's fine if you don't mind a game that lasts 2.5 hours, but most players don't want that. Sorry, Danny, I interrupted again.
No. I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, it's most of these outside of race. I think race you kind of had pretty ironed out, and it's just worked. It's worked really well. But all these others have really evolved as we've played them and found out, nope, that doesn't work. let's pivot.
But one of the things, and I was telling Danny when I first shared this scenario with him in the map, is this kind of exists already in first edition, except it uses laser beams to try to divide the board down the middle. And that's one of the regrets I had about using boards in the style that, like in the modular style, is because we're using the same board in multiple scenarios that are sort of intended to be different. It restricts the kinds of things you can do. So we can't really have, at least not easily, like an obstacle that you can't cross. And that basically doubles the size of this board. Instead of being 9 and 9, 18 tiles long, it becomes double that, right? Because we have to go all the way there and all the way back. So I think the drawback of no longer having like actual boards that can pick up and rotate is more than made up for by the ability to do custom shapes of boards, also to include things like, which actually we had in first edition. It's definitely possible to do things like the tunnels that lead to somewhere else. Those, not tunnels, but like the stairways essentially. I forget what I called them. But those tokens existed in the Fringe Underground expansion, which lets you literally create scenarios where you're moving from underground to above ground and back. So moving between multiple map boards. That idea from Fringe Underground was sort of can be brought here and moving to sort of distinct areas on a map, which you'll see particularly in the solo campaign, the solo campaigns where we have regions of the board that are disconnected from one another, and things like that. So it lets us do things that just weren't practical with the modular map boards, and it makes setup a breeze. Like you open it up, you stick a few tokens and crystals down, and you don't have to search for the right kind of token anymore. There's a much smaller selection of tokens. So, you know, one of the major complaints, probably the biggest complaint that I heard about first edition, is there's just so much content and there wasn't an organizer. So if you didn't find the organization structure document that I posted on Board Game Geek or shared, whatever, I'm sure I sent out emails about it, but it just had a bagging strategy, I guess, just to keep things together so that it's easier and faster for setup. But still, you're searching through a box full of plastic bags, and it's not ideal. So having the insert this time around, and both the wooden insert, which is for first and second edition, as well as just a plastic injection mold insert, just will make everything faster and easier, and be able to play the game more often, just because it's not such a pain in the butt to set up. Trying to think if there's something else that that's worth covering that's new or different. Yeah, and a few people actually asked in the comments thread on the Kickstarter page. So the retail edition box will obviously be smaller because it contains less content. There's basically no minis except the reference cubes. Everything else, including sheep and crystals, is all cardboard tokens. So that box will be smaller, but the deluxe edition box this time around will be the same size as the deluxe, like the Kickstarter box last time. Mostly because I wanted to make sure that the wood insert works for both and would accommodate expansion content. I still cannot guarantee that the 3D walls add-on will actually fit in the box, even if we do remove the dice tower and make that storage for the walls, because as I showed in the video the other day, 50 or 47 or however many there are straight walls plus the corners and the T-walls, like 57 total walls, I believe. Each one is 32 millimeters in length, basically, by 24 millimeters high, roughly. It takes up a lot of room, so that's problematic for like the wood organizer that fits in the game box. But we're gonna do our best to rejig that to try to make it fit, but no guarantee on the box. Certainly the spring tokens, the cannons, and the teleporter tokens, the new 3D versions of them, will fit in the organizer, but I can't promise that the walls are going to fit. Hey, Kevin. Oh, I wanted to say, so somebody was asking about the cards, like why do we need all of the item and pet cards from second edition if we already have them in first edition? And the answer is because, for a few reasons. One, you will have already noticed, and that's the fact that we have these numbers on the bottom of the card. So previously we had sort of collector set icons on the bottom. The intention there was so that you'd have to sort, because sometimes you would remove certain cards from the deck before playing, and I wanted to eliminate all of that sort of thing. You just grab the exploration deck and you play with it. There's nothing in the deck that doesn't work in all of the scenarios, and so that was an objective that I had. And there's also different instructions on some of the cards, so the text has changed. I've removed icons from most of the cards. Some of them have kept icons, although I may actually remove those that are left before the final print. But there are new ones, and some of the old ones use this, are new. So that's a new card, the Crystal Monocle. The text on Crusher has changed. Like, I basically just fixing clarity issues. When some cards people ask questions about and were problematic and they didn't understand, I try to make sure that I fix the problem with the card, at least by clarifying the text on the card, or in some cases just removing those cards and replacing them with something else.
Yeah, this was one just in this playtesting. This didn't used to say remove it before moving on to it. And
Yeah.
You added to clarify.
So one of the questions that was part of the FAQ and that people asked was, how exactly does Crusher work? So now it says how this works exactly, like when it triggers. So as you move, if you're going to move onto this wall with Crusher to break it, you remove the wall, replace it with a broken thing, and then you move your hero onto it, because that does make a difference in some situations. So things like that for clarity and just functionality. Some cards turned out to not be good enough or were too good. So, like any game that sees another edition, you want to go through and do your best to balance it. Although there's a lot of things in Quodd Heroes that are deeply unbalanced on purpose. But anything that's just way too crazy powerful, in some cases, has been nerfed. What were you gonna say, Danny?
Oh no, but to
Wish
comment
you
on
could've
that,
split this.
rip. Oh, poor mayor.
Oh yeah, poor Mayor. Yeah, so Mayor Trix's Q power before was just bonkers. But obviously the nature of Q powers in general, everything has changed here. So, but Mayor is still good. All of the heroes are. But a lot of these heroes are the same as before, but there are new ones. This guy.
Pets.
Sorry.
You said heroes, but pets.
Oh yeah, I meant yeah, not both heroes and the items and pets, but yeah. So Tunneler Worm is a brand new pet, sort of another single-use thing, but it says discard Tunneler Worm to place tunnel beneath your hero in another one range 5. So it's kind of like a teleporter, but creates and you're using it during your non-movement phase, basically creating a tunnel, going through it, and then whatever. But it lets you. There's a lot of uses for it. It's a good card. Fairy Quadmother has changed, but yeah, so lots of changes in general to a lot of the cards. Many changes to the exploration deck in general. New cards, cards that have changed. Homing Rune is an example of a new card. Lets you move your hero to a respawn point, range 6. More useful than it might sound.
I had that in my hand during our game and almost used it.
This is basically just a single-use teleport, range 3. Danny used it during the game. This card is new, the Slick Silver Vapor, which I used a couple of times. Potion of Roots has changed slightly. It was always an impulse card, which means you can play it in response to somebody else or play it during another player's card playing phases, power up or power down. But it used to let you also draw a card. It does not anymore. Elixir of Power is a new card. That's no change there. Lure is new, right? Lure existed last time, but the writing has changed a little bit, I think. Maybe not. This is a brand new food card. Boogie Beans, immediately activate your face-up skill. A lot of these are only one-ofs in the deck, but they're interesting one-ofs. Sugar Crystals, this is also new. You may move between teleporters as if they were tunnels. Teleporters work differently from tunnels. There shouldn't be 2 Tunneler Worms in the deck. This is the utility version of him. Yeah, one of these doesn't belong. But anyway, Room Discovery, that's actually new. Reveal a secret token within range 4. So if there's one on the board and you're not quite there, you can grab it. Void Rune is unchanged. But anyway, there's lots of changes to basically every aspect of the game.
Yep, I don't remember if you pointed this out or not, but another thing you changed iconography-wise.
Yeah, the phase.
Most of these cards, most of them have the green-red, which just is a reminder you can play cards in Phase 1 or Phase 3, but some cards, like Swiftgrass, it doesn't make sense to play them in Phase 3. So there's a reminder with the green up arrow. You want to play that during Phase 1. It's going to be useless to you in Phase 3.
Yeah, because for new players in particular, I would always get players would just not play cards from their hand often because they're still learning, right? And I think that's true of a lot of games where you want to focus on just understanding the core aspect of the game. So sometimes new players would just basically never look at the cards in their hand and not realize how powerful they are at sort of helping you win. So by adding basically renaming the 2 phases, they were called Power Up and Power Down in first edition, but not really referred to often. But I wanted to make it clear in the card design, and there will be a few other changes to the final cards design before we go to print, particularly to items and pets, to clearly distinguish between a passive and an active ability. so that people know what can be used once and what is always active. For example, like Jasper lets you move through walls, so it's not an activated ability. It's just always on, versus something that you have to use and can only use once per turn. So I want to do the same with these cards by having these icons showing which phase you can use them in. Most cards in the exploration deck can be used in either phase, but some, like Danny just pointed out, only make sense to use before movement because they boost your movement skills. They have no function outside of the power-up phase.
Davin has a question
Davin,
about...
for upgrade kit backers, is there an expectation to convert up or leave the capability to play both versions? I was expecting people to convert up, basically because not everything is going to fit in the box unless you get rid of some stuff. I don't know if you've got an organizer of some kind in your Quodd Heroes box at this point, but it gets pretty tight when you start adding a bunch of stuff to it. So yeah, I mean, people can keep both realistically, but it just makes it slightly confusing to keep both sets of cards and learn both sets of rules. But if you're really sort of committed to and enjoy first edition, by all means keep both. It's just not all going to fit in one box, because the player boards in first edition are quite large, and all of the tiles. So the wood organizer in particular, I'll grab the things from this box. Oh, I'm gonna break the darn thing. So these wooden trays. I'm going to switch to the full screen view here. Is it working? Boink. Sorry. Here we go. So these trays that hold the heroes will hold, a hero cube, a hero mini, or two minis, like in first edition. The sort of hero tracking token, and then the skill and upgrade tiles from first edition, or in second edition, just the skill tiles, plus if your hero has additional tokens, they'll fit in the other side of this little thing. So you couldn't possibly keep two sets of skill tiles plus the upgrade tiles from first edition, and then the upgrade tokens in these things. So basically, I'm basically recommending that people who do upgrade, especially those who get an organizer, because the plastic organizer that will ship with second edition certainly won't fit all of the components for both without getting rid of some stuff. It's just not possible unless we made the box huge, which increases the cost of freight. It's just not. It's not good. It's not a good idea. So yeah, to answer your question, feel free to keep it. But my idea is that second edition is just better. I still love first edition, but I can't even imagine playing it the old way anymore, because everything, at least to me, I don't know if it's obvious watching play it. I know you have actually played it, Davin, on here with us, but it in my opinion, it's just a smoother experience. One of the big issues with the first edition, probably the biggest issue in my mind when I first started working on the changes for this version, was I really wasn't happy with the upgrade system. Because one of the problems I always had when teaching is that you've got all these icons on the upgrade tiles that don't have text on them, and you have to, like, right away when you upgrade during the game, you have to look in the rulebook to figure out what these icons do, and people have to figure out, what makes sense or not. So I wanted to make the upgrade process simpler and not take up a lot of time or thinking space on your turn, but also make the heroes unique and powerful. And I think that the new system does that. The player board is much more simple visually, and yeah, in general, it's just a better experience, because what that old version did to some extent, unintentionally, was focus too much of the player's time on the stuff that doesn't happen on the game board. And the stuff that happens on the board itself, I'll switch back to the other view, is really where the fun is in the game. I mean, obviously the cards aid that, but you shouldn't be spending all of your time figuring out your upgrades and yeah, at least that's how I felt about it. So yeah, that's my feelings on that.
Davin,
You definitely don't need to ditch the map tiles at all. My plan is to have those fit in the box, Davin, because there's no reason why you can't play the old scenarios with the new rules. It's definitely fully possible. The only difference is going to be the upgrade system and things that track rounds. You'll just have to keep track of who the first player was, basically, which isn't hard. You just get back to the same player again and you track a round, basically. You were going to say something, Danny.
Yeah. It's I was going to say the same thing. I didn't know if there'd be room or if I was going to have to get creative, but the boards were going to stay for me. Tokens were going to stay for me. If there's a replacement deck, then I'm not going to carry that deck over.
Yeah, the only thing I would say if you're going to play with first edition boards and the modular boards, one of the things that doesn't exist as much in second edition are things that rotate boards. So like Earthquake Rune, or I think that's what it's called. Something like that says rotate a board. There's only a couple of rotate cards in the deck. I think it's the Omni Room still has the rotate thing, which on most scenarios isn't going to do anything. But because it's a 1 of 5 options, it doesn't matter. But if you're playing scenarios that have that effect in them, that are using modular boards, by all means, you're going to want those cards in your exploration deck. And because all the card backs are the same, there's no reason you can't do that. And also the promo cards that I produced over the years at conventions, if you have them, by all means, use them. Earthrune? I don't think Earthrune had the rotation part of it, because Earthrune is still in the game. It's just break a wall, build a tunnel. Let's see, yeah. So this is Earthrune, and it really hasn't changed at all. The other thing the one difference that's not obvious, I mean, it's if you look at the graphics on the new Kickstarter page carefully, you'll see that the retail edition doesn't have any bombs. It doesn't have any way to create them. There's a couple of reasons why I did that. One, because it needs bomb dice, and they cost money, and I'm trying to make that game affordable. And the second is that bombs have a slightly more difficult to understand rule set, and I think you don't need them, really. That's it. Davin asked if I redesigned. Did I resign it? I didn't. I'd never resigned mine because my feeling on that card is that really Tom hated that card, but in Quodd Heroes, the impact of that card really isn't nearly what it seems like it would be in most other games. So I didn't, but one of the things that I did always do, especially at conventions, is that before I set up a game, I would go through the event deck from first edition and I would take out cards that would make people cry. Or stand up or flip the table or whatever. Personally, obviously, as the designer of the game, I designed the game that I was okay with, right? And that I liked. And some of those cards were a bit extreme. Some of them I didn't design myself, actually. Mike was instrumental in designing a lot of the cards. And a couple of those event cards are ones that he really liked. And I was like, yeah, it's when it happens, it can be upsetting to some players, but ultimately the whole idea behind the event deck and event decks in any game really was that in this case the story behind Quodd Heroes is that there was a big meteor shower and it caused this massive cataclysm and the world is basically just rebuilding, but the ground is still shaking and it's dangerous and there's strong winds and things are always changing, right? It's unpredictable, like weather basically. So the event deck was meant to basically create the effect that you're not safe from turn to turn, but enough players hated it so much that it just stopped them from liking a game that otherwise, maybe they would like more. And my answer to that was always, you don't have to use the event deck at all if you don't want to, because it's really not. It doesn't matter that much. But I think it's an important part of the game. But anyway, so I wanted to take away those barriers that keep that make the game too punishing, right? So the event deck this time around is far less punishing, but still creates enough variability that it can keep you on your toes. There's still cards that do things like shut off pets for the next round, or shut off items, which can be a real bummer at times. But I like unapologetically, I still think it's an acceptable effect in a game, because you want there to be enough variability that it's not completely predictable, right? This isn't chess. It's Quodd Heroes.
Yeah, I was the same. I really liked the event deck, but I understand why some folks don't. Davin, I'll say that I guess if you technically want to look at it, it's resigned because the event deck is completely reworked. Yeah. But I will also say I kind of nudged Ryan and said, "Man, you should do an event card that's a nod to that."
A nod toward the Tom Vassal tearing up card.
Yeah, to the fact that a card was torn up. So.
Yeah, and I haven't. Maybe Danny will design it. I don't know, but I don't know exactly what that might be. But it could be funny to just put something like that out there.
I think it would be hilarious, but.
Anyway, if you guys don't have any additional questions, we could probably wrap this one up for this evening. I do want to do more live streams. Maybe we can get some actual backers to hop in and play with us on a stream, and even not on a stream. If you want to try the game, obviously the Tabletop Simulator mod is out there. You can do it on your own. But I'm happy to teach or play with you, and I think Danny is as well, as long as as long as it matches our schedules. But my schedule is basically this Kickstarter right now, so I can play pretty much anytime you want.
Yep, generally speaking, pretty wide open. Tomorrow's my birthday, so tomorrow's out, but
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will probably be playing tomorrow. I'll post a Kickstarter update, even if I'm playing by myself. But anyway, if anybody wants to play, and I'll post that as part of the update, at least a few hours before we're going to stream, and just say, if you want to play, hop on, or even if it's not part of a stream. So there is a Wonderment Games Discord server. I will share that on in a Kickstarter update, or if you join the Quodd Heroes Facebook group or page, I guess that's a page, or the Quodd Heroes Society group, that information can be found there. Or you can just send me a message on Facebook, and I'll pass it along to you.
Yeah, Gilberto, I was trying to work that out before this went live, and we went live just a little too fast. But yes, I will work on getting that that button live again. That was the one mistake I caught when we were getting ready for this. I was like, hey, Ryan, guess what we did?
Yeah, I apologize for that, because I asked Danny to sort of strip out all of the extra scenarios for the time being on the version that we share with everybody, just because I think, especially with new players, keeping it simple is best, and this is as simple as it gets. It's just a race, and we don't have to explain a bunch of extra rules. You just got to move. The first one to get there wins. And once we get the actual text finalized on all of the scenarios, we'll just open those back up and make them available to people. But ultimately, I think the objective is, I mean, Danny and I haven't really discussed it enough. Really, this is 99% of the work here is his. All I do is provide graphics for him. It would be nice if he got something out of it. I don't know how many people are going to buy it, but probably if this Kickstarter does better than it's doing now, if we really overfund and the game ends up in retail, lots of players out there playing it, then the demand for Tabletop Simulator version will increase, but not enough people know about the game yet. But yeah, I would like to have like a fully functional version of this game out there with all of the scenarios from second edition functional and working. In a dream world, also the solo campaign, but we'll work on that. I say we, but that's for the future. Although realistically, the solo scenarios are probably the easiest ones to deal with. But who knows? Maybe not. I like you already, Gilberto. We just met today through the Kickstarter, and you're already my favorite backer. Sorry, everyone else. I'm just kidding. I love you all.
Oh man, I was about to say Walter's not here, is he?
Oh yeah, well I don't know. Was Walter here earlier? I think he said he was going to be watching it later. He was.
I think you're right. I
He
think
had
he's gonna
something
watch
to
it
do.
later.
But yeah, we love you too, Walter. You've been amazing and helpful with answering all the questions on the Kickstarter page. On top of Danny, of course, who's been basically a superhero. The last few days for me have been mostly spent behind the scenes trying to figure out how to address all of the issues, fix the graphics that have mistakes, and trying to get proper shipping numbers for the rest of world regions. And anyway, it's been crazy. I don't recommend running a Kickstarter unless you I don't know, unless you're nuts.
I'm happy to help out, and I will continue answering questions just as fast as I can. I ask the community to be patient. I do have a full-time job, and I'm kind of answering in the middle of work. So,
Danny, I'll just tell you now, you don't have to do that. Like today, I actually hopped on and was able to respond to more of people's questions. So I don't want you to put aside all of the important life stuff you have to do just to respond to questions. People can be patient.
I truly don't mind it. I told you before, I wasn't lying. I'm having a blast. Having a blast doing it. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap this up unless anybody else has any additional questions, and we'll be back to do this again pretty soon. All right, guys. I'm gonna say goodbye.
Yep.
Thank you, Danny, again for playing with me. Thanks everybody who showed up and watched and stuck around. Davin is open for a game in 55 hours time. That's a very specific number. I forgot. I will respond to the few things that I didn't see here. Bahamut Dragon Lord says, like the old Magic the Gathering Chaos Orb that you tear up. Yeah. I actually remember that. I was playing Magic back then, shockingly, but I don't think I have any of the cards. But yeah, all those anti-cards and things like tearing things up worked their way out of the game, thankfully. All right, guys. Good night, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Take care.